Seches Gittin Daf continues the Gemara's discussion of the machlokes between Rabbah and Rava as to what is the reason that when a shliach brings the get from Medina Siyam, from outside Eretz Yisrael to within Eretz Yisrael, he has to say B'fanei nechtam was written and signed before me. At this point, we have modified the machlokes a little bit. Everyone agrees to what Rava had originally said, that we're afraid we won't be able to get witnesses to come and corroborate the signature, since the witnesses who signed it are living far away and there is no easy travel. We won't be able to get it. If the husband will come in and say that it was forged, we won't be able to prove that the signatures are valid, which will cause the woman to get missed over, especially if she got remarried. Everyone agrees to that. Rava holds that as the only concern. Rab holds as an additional concern that outside Eretz Yisrael, people don't know the halacha that you have to write a get lishma. We're afraid that it was written not lishma. And like this, they'll be able to say that they saw it was written. We'll ask them, was it lishma? We'll be able to establish that it was lishma. So the Gemara now continues bringing proofs and then saying that this machlokes lines up with other ones. So the Gemara's first proof, we're in the last three lines on Daf Dalid Amid Beis. Mirkos, a Mishnah that says somebody brings a get from a Medina Siyam and cannot say. Gemara will explain why. Cannot say b'fanei nechtam, but b'fanei nechtam, so you can still use the get as long as you can establish the witnesses are valid. That means you could use it, it's no problem. And if there'll be a complaint, if there'll be an accusation that it's forged, you'll just have to prove that the witnesses are validated. So the Gemara says, now, if you want to know what is the reason that they can't say it, so we had some discussion here. If the reason was because they are a deaf, mute, who cannot hear or speak, so they can't bring a get because a cheresh shota and a katan are not allowed to bring a get. They're not allowed to be a shliach. You can only function as a shliach if they're in the parsha of getting married and having divorces. So Rav Yosef had said that the case is that he brought it when he was healthy, and then he gave it, and before he got a chance to say b'fanei nechtam, he was struck dumb, and therefore he cannot say it any longer. Now, either way, whatever the reasoning is, this is a problem according to Rabbah. According to Rabbah, I understand. The only real reason that you need to bring the get is because the only real reason you have to say b'fanei nechtam is because you're afraid you won't be able to corroborate the witnesses. So here, okay, so it's fine. You'll corroborate the witnesses. According to Rabbah, though, how are you going to know that it's lishma? So why should it be okay? So the Gemara answers by modifying Rabbah's opinion again and saying that at a certain point, the people outside Eretz Yisrael learned the halacha that it has to be lishma, and then there was no longer any concern that they would not do it lishma. That being the case, that is what this Mishnah was referring to, and as long as you can establish the validity of the witnesses, you could use the get. So the Gemara asks if that's true, so then why is it only in a situation where they could not say b'fanei nechtam? You shouldn't have to say b'fanei nechtam at all, just establish the validity of the witnesses, and that's it. There is no problem of lishma. So the Gemara says, no, we still have gzeir d'Rabbanan that you should say b'fanei nechtam because we were concerned people forget the halacha. If so, then where it says you have the gzeira, so then we're back to square one. So then what does it help that they learned? You still should not be able to use the get if they didn't say b'fanei nechtam because of this gzeira. So the more answer is no, because it is a gzeir d'Rabbanan, and a case where somebody was a pikeach, where he knew, where he was healthy and he was able to say b'fanei nechtam, and then in the middle he became a cheresh and he couldn't say it anymore. It's a very rare and odd case, and our rule always is we don't have a gzeir d'Rabbanan in a rare case. We don't make gzeiras in rare scenarios. So says Gemara, is that true? You don't make gzeiras in rare scenarios, but a woman bringing her own get is a rare scenario, and we do make the gzeira in that case, because we have a Mishnah that says that if a woman brings her own get, that's kosher, but she has to say b'fanei nechtam. And why do we make gzeira in that case if that's rare? And the whole issue here is that we're afraid that this gzeira d'Rabbanan you have to say b'fanei nechtam because they may forget the halacha again. Why do we say it in that case, which is rare? So Gemara says that's not because of gzeir d'Rabbanan, that's because we don't make any differentiations between different shlichasin. All messengers have to say it. We're not going to start differentiating between a he, a she, she's bringing it, he's bringing it. We're not going to do that. So Gemara says if that's true, so then if the husband brings the get himself, there you should also have to say it. You said you're not differentiating between shlichas. How can we have a brayso that says it's not true? If he brings the get himself, he does not have to say b'fanei nechtam. So says, what do you mean? That's not a kasha. The whole reason you have to say b'fanei nechtam is because we're afraid the husband is going to come and complain and try to uproot the get. Here, there's no possibility of having that. So the whole situation that doesn't exist is there is no concept of not to differentiate between two different shlichasim. right, now the Gemara brings another proof, which is a very similar structure. I don't have the same back and forth that follows it. This proof is actually from a conversation between Amoraim. The Gemara says, Shmuel asked Kasha from Rav Huna. He asked a Shaila from Rav Huna. If two people bring the get from Medina Sam, do they have to say b'fanei nachtam or not? And his answer was they don't have to say it, because if they would just say that we saw that she was divorced, they didn't bring the get, they testified that she is divorced, they would be enough to establish the fact that she is divorced and allowed to get remarried. Therefore, that's enough. If they bring it, they don't have to say b'fanei nachtam. So the Gemara says that makes sense according to Rava, because the only problem is that we're afraid that we won't be able to establish that she is divorced. And here, these two people can establish it. However, according to Rava, we're concerned that it wasn't written l'shma. They could say all they want. If we're afraid that it wasn't l'shma, then that's not resolved. So again, the Gemara answers, no, this is after they learned the halach has to be l'shma, so that concern doesn't exist. So the Gemara says, if that's true, so then why only when two people bring a get? Even when one person brings a get, he doesn't have to say b'fanei nachtam. The Gemara answers, no, because there's a gzeira that we're afraid they'll forget. The Gemara says again, so if that's true, so then even when two people bring it, you should have a gzeira that they'll forget. The Gemara says two people bringing a get is uncommon, and we don't make a gzeira d'Rabbanan. At this point, it's just a gzeira d'Rabbanan. So Gemara asks, well, what about a woman? How come she has to say it's uncommon that she brings her own get? So Gemara says in order to not differentiate between shlichusin. So Gemara says then how come the husband? How come he does not have to say nachtam if his situation of him bringing the get is rare as well? So Gemara answers because there is no concern. The whole issue is the only reason we have this entire discussion is we're afraid that he will try to contest the get and say that it's not real. But if he's bringing it himself, he cannot contest the get. Now, we start a third proof, also in a similar type of structure. And this proof says it's a brisa, somebody brings a get from Medina Siam, he gives it to her, and he did not say b'fanei nachtam. He's already given it. Now what? So again, it depends if we can be mekayim, if we can verify the signatures. If we can verify the signatures, it's kosher. If you cannot verify the signatures, it's pasul. Now here we don't say anything about lishma. There's no problem of lishma. The implication clearly is that the only reason that we made him say b'fanei nachtam to make things easier for the woman, that she can stay married and support that she can get remarried and not have to worry about the husband coming and complaining. But here, if we can establish that the get was valid, she's fine. So we're obviously not concerned about lishma. If we were concerned about lishma, we would passel the get if he cannot say b'fanei nachtam. So again, it's a proof against Rav who says we are concerned about lishma. So again, the Gemara answers, this is talking about after we learned the halacha. So the Gemara says, well, what about the gzeira? You said you're afraid that the people are going to forget. The Gemara says, we're talking about when she already got remarried. If they already got remarried, we're not going to make her get divorced again, because the entire strategy, the entire reason that we want to do all this is so that she should be able to stay married. We're not going to have any problems. So this is what the Mishnah means when it says, this is what the Brisa means when it explains that the only reason that we made the entire rule is to make things easier for her, not harder for her. It means to say, since the entire concept, the entire structure of this is to make it easier for her, that she should not have to get divorced if she goes and remarries and the husband comes and complains. In this situation, the husband didn't come and complain yet, and the gzeira midrabanan that we're afraid of not being lishma is not a real issue, because you already know the halacha. It's only potentially afraid that they may forget. We're not going to have any of those issues. We're not going to come complain if the husband hasn't complained. If he will complain, then we'll have a problem. Until then, we're not going to complain. Okay, now the Gemara wants to say this machlokes Rabba and Rava is the same machlokes as had between Rabbi Yochanan and Yeshua ben Levi. One says that the reason is because of the people outside Eretz Yisrael don't know the halacha of lishma, and the other one says because we wouldn't be able to verify the signatures. So the Gemara has a few things to say about this comparison. The Gemara's first one is to say who is the one that says because we're not bucking lishma. The Gemara wants to say it's Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. And we know that because Rabbi Shimon bar Abba brought a get in front of Yeshua ben Levi, and he asked, do I have to say b'fanei nachtam or not? He said, you do not. It was only said in the earlier generations that they did not know the halacha of lishma, but now in the later generations that we know the halacha of lishma, you don't have to worry about saying b'fanei nachtam anymore. Now the Gemara has a problem with that. The Gemara says, well, first of all, Rabbah agrees to Rava's story. You still have a problem. You have to say b'fanei nachtam because you have to be able to verify the signature. So what does it help that they learned the halacha now? It does not help the fact that you won't be able to verify the signatures. Even Rabbah agrees to that. So, second of all, we said that there's a gzeira shema yachzir, and people might forget the halacha again, and therefore you have to say b'fanei nachtam even in places where they learned halacha. So the Gemara therefore changes a little bit. The Gemara says Shimon bar Abba says that there was another person together with Rav Shimon bar Abba. There was two people, and therefore they had a pair, and that takes care of the problem of verifying the signatures. And the only concern was because the Gzeir Darabanan, that they might forget. And we said in the case where there's two people, it's rare, make Gzeir Darabanan in case of rare scenarios. Now, why didn't we mention it was the second person there? Because of the covet of Rabbi Shimon, we didn't want to mention that somebody came along with him. Okay, now the Gemara goes on to another discussion related to this one. It's been mentioned earlier, and that's when the shliach gives the get to the woman. How many people have to observe that? So we're quotes of Machlekes Rav Yochanan, same Rav Yochanan mentioned earlier. Rav Yochanan there was arguing with Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Here he's arguing with Rabbi Chanina. Now, again, we don't know who says what. One says that it's in front of two people to serve as witnesses, and one says that's in front of three people to serve as a court. So the Gemara wants to say, first of all, Rav Yochanan is the one who says it has to be in front of two, because Ravin bar Rav Chizda brought a get in front of Rav Yochanan, and he said, give it to her in front of two people. So you see, he holds you only need two people. And he also said, say b'fanei nechtav and b'fanei nechtav. Okay, so that's a good proof that Rav Yochanan is the one who holds you only need two. So now the Gemara wants to say, now what is this machlokes about, two or three? So what wants to say, machlokes is exactly our issue. Is the reason you have to say b'fanei nechtav because we're concerned about lishma, because we're concerned about verifying the signatures. If it's about verifying the signatures, the rule across Shas is that a verification of a document requires a court, and therefore you require three people. If it's just to prove that lishma was had, so you need two people to testify that he said it in order to establish that the Shema existed. Okay, that's what the Gemara wants to offer. The Gemara says this is a problem though, because Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, we said before, had a machlokes with Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is the one who said that the reason you have to say Vanech is because of the Shema. Therefore, Rabbi Yochanan must be the one who says that's because you have to verify the signatures. If that's true, then in this discussion, Rabbi Yochanan should be the one that says you require three. Verification of signatures require three. And we already said here that Rabbi Yochanan is the one who says two, not three. Second problem, Rabbah holds of Rava, and therefore you need to verify the signatures according to everybody. So everybody should have to hold, you need to verify the signatures, you should have to have three. So therefore the Gemara says, really, everyone holds that you need to have verification of the signatures. So you need a Beis Din. The question is, do you need two people to make your best, or do you need three? What's the issue? The issue is, can the Shliach himself count as a member of the Beis Din or not? We have a question called, can the Shliach be a witness? And then another thing, can a witness serve as a judge? Now, one opinion holds you need to have only two people, because the shliach could be a witness, and then a witness can be a judge. And therefore, the shliach himself counts as a judge. You have to have two more people. Altogether is three. That's your court. You've just certified the signatures in front of a court of three. And one holds you need three opinions, says the shliach might be able to be a witness, but a witness cannot become a judge. Therefore, the shliach cannot become the judge. So the Gemara says, hold on a second, we have a question here. If a rule that in all halachos that are midrabanan, a witness can become a judge. So how come over here you're telling me that one opinion holds a witness cannot become a judge? This entire thing is Gzeir Darabanan. So says the Gemara, no. So there's a different shot in this machlokes here, whether you need two or three. One holds that you have to be concerned maybe a woman is going to bring the get herself. A woman is allowed to be a shliach to bring a get, and therefore maybe she's going to bring the get herself. And if the halacha is that we only need two other ones, we're going to count her. And therefore, she can't be counted as part of a court for sure. Court has to be men. And therefore, we make Gzeira, you can never count the shliach because it might be a woman sometimes. So therefore, you have to have three. The other opinion says the woman knows, and we know